everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and I'm going to talk about the first part of my 2022 favorites. Grabbing my list, because otherwise I will never get through this. Today I'm only going to talk about adult and middle grade because YA, just like, there's so many. So I'm only going to talk about adult and middle grade to kind of split it up, make it a little bit easier. I know last year I did like fantasy, romance, whatever, like I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just gonna talk about adult and middle grade and whatever. And one of the reasons why is I have a little bit less to say this year than I do last year. Last year I feel like I had more favorites than I do this year. That's the first reason. But second reason is a very important reason. Harper Collins is still on strike. They've been on strike since November 10th. It is not only 2023, but it is past January 10th. Like, they've been on strike for November, December, 3 months. Is that? Yeah, 3 months. Over 3 months now, by the time that this video will air. That is unacceptable. So basically, there are going to be some Harper titles that I'm going to mention in here, but I know that normally I do mini reviews, and I'm not going to do mini reviews of Harper titles. I'm just going to mention that they're there. I'm also going to say, link below, the bookshop.org link for HarperCollins Union. I'm going to link below their link tree where you can find them on social media, where you can find out how to donate, and also, as of a day ago, whatever, a new call to action they have is to flood HarperCollins social media with the hashtag HCP on strike, and also to pay your workers a living wage, like that. So I'm going to leave all the information like that below in the description box, and I'm not going to be reviewing Harper titles. As a reviewer, that's what I've been doing. I have been holding off on my reviews for HarperCollins titles. And so yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and also that's why this video is going to be shorter than normal. Also, on the blog, and I'll put the link below as well, I've already kind of, if you want like a very succinct list, but also a one sentence reason why you should read the non-HarperCollins books, then definitely check that out. I'm not saying that you shouldn't read the HarperCollins books. I really love them. That's why they appeared in my 2022 favorites. I just can't review them for you all as well. There will be some reviews that I have for HarperCollins books linked on the actual blog post, and that is because those came out before the strike started, and so those are reviews from, like, you know, January to November. Okay, let's talk about adult science fiction fantasy. The first one I want to talk about is Bluebird. Bluebird was a beautiful queer space opera, gunslinging, there's a librarian side character, like everything I really love all in one. So that is, if you have a reader who is new to sci-fi, I would recommend Bluebird. It has a lot of action, a lot of adventure. It feels very much like, yeah, just like a really fantastic action adventure, but also set in space, but also fabulous for sci-fi lovers like me. In terms of HarperCollins titles, I'm just going to list them. I will also throw out covers as well, or put covers on the screen for ones. Obviously, Babel. Also the Cartographers, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, which I read in December, so also no review to link there, and Heart of the Sun Warrior, which is a sequel. Just wanted to mention that that's a sequel. The other ones are not. They are first books / standalones. The non-HarperCollins titles I can talk about and review for you. The first one is The Final Strife. Love this epic fantasy, queer epic fantasy. Also a lot about rebellion and colonization. Like, so good. I cannot wait for the second one, which is coming in this year. I just, like, I want this book so bad right now. I loved it. It swept me away. I like went and bought 2 copies because I was like, no subscription box that I had did this book, which like personally tagged. So I'm pretty sure that I have the Waterstones edition, although I cannot find it. But then also I recently picked up the Barnes & Noble's edition, which you have seen in my last haul video. Or not the Barnes & Noble's edition, but the copy at Barnes & Noble's. The next one is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Cozy fantasy romance to a T. Loved it so much. It's like supernatural vibes meet Wild Wild West meets morgue / undertaking meets romance meets letters meets You've Got Mail. All of that, all in one. If you like like at least two of those elements, you have to read it. It is just so good. I'm going to be doing a panel, fingers crossed, all about cozy fantasy, and I really, really, really hope we can get The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy there. The next one is Silver Under Nightfall. I have also, after watching Witcher, wanted Witcher vibes, and Silver Under Nightfall gives that to you. The Witcher vibes I'm talking about that are sort of shared with Silver Under Nightfall are monster hunting. Silver Under Nightfall is kind of like vampire hunting, but it's also like vampire hunter meets vampires, and also maybe they're not so bad, but also found family, and there's some spice in it too. Like Silver Under Nightfall, I finished it and I was just like, I want to read it again. This is just so fun. I want to read it again. The next one is, the last one I'm going to talk about with the sci-fi fantasy, is Legends and Lattes. Briefly going to talk about it. The hype is real for this one. It was so cozy. I read it before going to bed, and like every chapter I wanted to read more. Not because I was like, oh my god, I have to figure out what's going to go on. But I was just like, these people, these like creatures, these, you know, characters, they're just like so precious. Just wants to make coffee. Just wants to like, it just like, if you are looking for, if you love fantasy and you really want like a cozy, low stakes fantasy, Legends and Lattes, 100% hype was worth it. Next I want to talk about romance. The two HarperCollins titles that made it into this, I don't know if I have reviews for either of these honestly on the blog, but it's Shipwrecked and Partners in Crime. Shipwrecked, by the way, is just part of a companion kind of series, so just so you know that ahead of time. The non-HarperCollins titles I want to talk about, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Oh my god, this one was so good. This is also like cozy fantasy. It's like cozy fantasy meets found family. It's like, okay, if you really liked The House in the Cerulean Sea, but you wanted a little bit, and by a little bit I mean totally not inspired by the indigenous like kidnapping and also murdering, or like the murdering of indigenous children at these like missionary schools, if you don't want it inspired by that, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. It's just a fabulous, gorgeous book on its own, but I think that is the biggest comp that I have to it, but also like I needed to mention that part of the comp. It has found family. It also has like a witch who is basically like going to kind of a job interview, and they're, even though witches are not supposed to get also densely packed because it will draw, I guess, like magic and like disaster basically, they're kind of like, hey, we have 3 baby witches, can you teach them? And she's just like, wow, you should not be doing this, but also these people need help. These kids need help. They cannot be just like going around witching without any control. So anyway, that is the basis of Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Sangu Mandana is one of my favorite authors, period. So I just like love this. I love how many people love this. Just love it. Love it, love it. The next one is A Dash of Salt and Pepper. If you watched The Bear and wanted more romance, as in like any romance, because The Bear is certainly very drama filled, A Dash of Salt and Pepper is like The Bear, so kitchen scenes chef character, not the main character, but like chef character, meets another character who feels very adrift, very personally attacked to me. Like I felt personally attacked by this character. A little bit feeling adrift, doesn't know what kind of path in life he wants. Also meets queer romance, and also meets like single father. The chef is a single dad as well. Like all of that in one is A Dash of Salt and Pepper. So, so good. I personally related so hard to the main character's feeling of adriftness and not knowing like career path, what he wanted to do. The next one is Season of Love. I actually have a copy of Season of Love right here next to me. Season of Love. This is like a holiday romance set on a Christmas tree farm, but it's a Jewish holiday romance. It is also queer, as you can tell from the cover. Just so gorgeous. I loved these two main characters and the way that they have to come together and realize their like misconceptions about each other is based on also their insecurities and vulnerabilities. Like, this is just so gorgeous. I love it so much. Also, on my list, which I 100% read this year, I loved Lizzie Blake's Best Mistakes. It is just like, I loved A Brush with Love so much, but Lizzie Blake's Best Mistakes is my favorite. Lizzie is like a charming, endearing, wonderful character, but also has a lot of insecurities and vulnerabilities. And Rake, first of all, Rake, the name. But anyway, Rake is just like this ray of, is he Australian? Australian sunshine. But also like Lizzie is the sunshine in this. This is kind of like, and this is not like Grumpy versus Sunshine, but this has a lot of sun rays. Also, excuse the construction noise in the background. I did not expect that, but I'm on a roll, so I cannot stop. The next one is Two Wrongs Make a Right. This one is 100%, I'm pretty sure, a Shakespeare reimagining. I just cannot remember which one it is. But this one has a fantastic characters where like their first meetings are disasters. But they have to go really into this like fake dating scheme to kind of realize that like, oh, you're not the disaster I thought you were. You're not the person I thought you were. And this idea of like two characters who feel very much like they are wrong aspects. Like they feel very much like two of something. And by two, I mean where people feel like too much, too vulnerable, too emotional. Like that's what I mean by two, T-O-O. So two wrongs come together and they see each other for who they are, and this is so precious. The next one is The Decoy Girlfriend. This is like fake dating on a celebrity scale. It is just so good. It's like fake dating meets body double. They look very similar, and it's like the main character has been impersonating the celebrity to like get into clubs, get free drinks or whatever, and then the celebrity's like, wait, could you really impersonate me? I need a break. But also, could you impersonate dating this person as well for me? Great, thanks. That's A Decoy Girlfriend. So good, so emotional, so vulnerable all at once, but also that plot, like, come on. And the final one is A Stand-Up Groomsman. This is a queer Asian story about a stand-up comedian. Also has a series of bad first impressions as well. But this one just, it made me laugh so much, but also it made me just feel so good. Like, it's so heartfelt all at once, so deeply talking about our insecurities, specifically the stand-up comedian. Also this feeling of like always needing to be someone for people, like to be on, to be that persona, and how it would feel to kind of just be yourself. Like, yeah, that. And I want to talk about middle grade. So the first one is Frizzy. This is a graphic novel. It is a graphic novel about confronting internalized racism and also the relationship we have with our hair, specifically for different cultures. The relationship to hair is obviously different, and so Frizzy is about confronting the internalized racism within the family about hair and what it means. But also within yourself, and also to like wear your hair natural and what that would mean for you. It is just such a precious like middle grade graphic novel, which I feel like everyone should read. The next one is Witchlings. This is the beginning of the Witchlings series. This is also by Claribel A. Ortega. This is so precious. It's really about belonging, and a sense of feeling like you don't belong, and how you deal with those expectations. Like, basically the witchlings are sorted into different groups, and so she's sorted into a spare, which is someone who like doesn't really have magic, I guess. It's been a while since I read Witchlings, and so she didn't want to be a spare, and kind of like no one wants to be a spare, but then the spares have to come together and realize that they have a much more important and a much more impactful, I guess, role than they think, and that they're not like spares, they're just people as well. And not people as well, but like they're witches in their own way. They're important to this community in their own way as well. The next one is Winnie Zhang Unleashes a Legend. This is Katie Zhao's most recent start of the middle grade series. Katie's like a middle grade queen, honestly, and this one was just like so humorous. It had Katie's like trademark humor, but also action. I felt like the humor and the action and the kind of like friendship, rivalry kind of stuff was just so brilliantly balanced all at once. The next one is Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor. This one was so fun, but I think what I loved as well is that this middle grade also talks about going back to our homeland and what it will mean, especially when you come from an oppressed minority from that homeland and like, or from that country, and you're not sure how that's going to impact your feelings about that country and also your feelings about what it means to be from that country. So I really loved that one as well. And it also had a lot of like, what is it? It's not Pokemon, but it had a lot of like, did it have card magic? No, it had like video game magic as well in Zachary Ying, and so that was also really fun to read. The next one is Kiki Kalira Breaks a Kingdom. This is the second one in the Kiki Kalira series, also by Sangu Mandana. And this one was just so gorgeous, not only because the main character has anxiety, I felt like that is very relatable, but also like Kiki continuously has been a heroine who is not your typical heroine in the way that like a lot of these heroines or main characters in fantasy stories, they like fall into it and like fighting comes easily to them, or they have a special skill set, I feel like, which even if it's not fighting, they're like very good at puzzles or whatever. But Kiki Kalira definitely doesn't feel that way, and she herself is kind of like, what am I gonna do? Like, what is my thing? And I felt like that was just so utterly relatable to me, especially with all these other middle grade fantasy series that are coming up about feeling like you're not supposed to be like the main character, you're not supposed to be the hero, so how do you become heroic? How do your actions become meaningful as well? And the final one is Hannah Sue and the Ghost Crab Nation. This one is also a sci-fi middle grade, but I think what I loved about this one is really delves into the ethics of technology and corporations and what corporations could do with technology and data and information in a middle grade lens that feels very approachable for that audience. So, those were the adult and middle grade favorites of 2022. Let me know if you've read any of these or if you have recommendations for ones that you would like to recommend to me. And I will see you in the next video or the next favorites video. Have a great reading day, week, month, and start of your year. Bye.